Reporting from Arkham Asylum, this is Gotham Rogues. In this video we take a look at the comic book storyline Poison Ivy, Cycle of Life and Death. Cycle of Life and Death is a 6-issue miniseries and Poison Ivy's first solo comic. It was published earlier this year and was written by Amy Chu and features the penciling of numerous artists, including Mann, Stephen Segovia, Robson Rucka, and several others. In this story, Ivy has gone legit, well sort of, and taken a job at the Gotham Botanical Gardens as a researcher. There, she's successfully discovered a way to create beings that are just like her, human and plant hybrids. She names the two Rose and Hazel, and they become as Ivy's children. However, things start going wrong when Ivy's colleagues begin being killed off, and it becomes apparent that someone is after Pamela's hybrid sporelings. She manages to track down these someone's base, where Ivy discovers that they have created a hybrid sporeling of their own using her research. Pam rescues her and names her Thorn, and it's now up to Poison Ivy to protect her new family from their mysterious enemy who turns out to be more plant than human. Some years ago, Poison Ivy was one of the main characters alongside Harley Quinn and Catwoman in the comic Gotham City Sirens. But this 6-issue miniseries is the first time she's the sole protagonist in her own title. About time if you ask me, as Ivy is one of those villains who is often not portrayed as pure evil, but more as a sympathetic and misunderstood character. That's the interpretation we get from writer Amy Chu in Cycle of Life and Death as well. As I said, Pam has left her criminal life behind and is working as a scientist yet again, as she used to before she became Poison Ivy. We've seen her in a similar situation a few times before, so there's nothing really new there. However, what's new is that Ivy's doing this to pursue a far grander goal than her supervillain shenanigans ever allowed, namely reproduce. Well, in a way. The Ivy we meet in this story is one who's tired of humanity, even of her old trusty friend Harley, who gets an appearance early in the book. Pam has reached a point where she feels so distanced from humans that she no longer wants anything to do with them. Instead, she's fully embraced her plant side and wants to be around beings who are like her. Thus, she creates the hybrid sporelings. But throughout the story, Pam gets to learn that she does need humans too, as she befriends one of her colleagues at the Botanical Gardens and is aided in the rescue of Thorn by another old friend, Catwoman. Because Ivy is both plant and human, and that's what she has to accept in the end. While caring for the sporelings, who grows up really fast by the way, we also get to see a different side of Pam that we haven't seen much of before, namely that of a nurturing parent. It's really fun to witness the crazy villainess Poison Ivy raise a bunch of kids and act as a hen mother. It's taking an old classic character and putting her in a new, unknown situation that allows us to view Ivy in a different light. Like I said earlier, Pamela is sympathetic in this story, but that doesn't mean she's completely good. She still does questionable things, like in one scene where she casually murders a man because she felt he treated his dogs badly. Even the Punisher would have found that to be excessive. But then again, she's Poison Ivy, a villain, not a superhero, so that's the sort of thing she's supposed to do. Like I complained about in my Harley Quinn and Power Girl review, Harley was being too much of a goody-good superhero there. Here with Ivy, there's no such problem. If I'm going to complain about something though, it's that Pam's colleague, Darshan, is way too much of a goody-good. It's bordering on parody, and even Ivy herself makes a note of it, remarking how nobody could be that good, which led her to briefly suspect him as the mysterious culprit behind everything. Speaking of the mysterious culprit, that's also a revelation that felt like it should have been grander. You could kind of guess early on who it was and why, and I'm a bit disappointed that that's sort of what it turned out to be. But still, this is a very good book. It offers an excellent portrayal of Poison Ivy. Sure, it has a few flaws, but not enough to make me view it in a negative light. As for the artwork, all of the artists are good, but I just wish there weren't so many of them. I usually want just one penciler on the same story, as otherwise it feels inconsistent. For this comic, I wish that artist could have been Mann Mann, who did draw the majority of the book. While most pencilers portray Ivy as a smoking hot mega babe, which there's nothing wrong with, Mann draws her as a beautiful woman. She's not overtly sexualized under his pencils, she's more of a thing of pure beauty, which is a nice and interesting change. I hope DC brings us more of these villain titles. Miniseries or ongoing series, I don't care. The rogues really need their own comics, and not just Harley and Catwoman. So, there you have it. That's Poison Ivy, Cycle of Life and Death. A must-read for every Ivy fan. Remember, Arkham Asylum awaits you in the next video.